Hello and welcome back to the KCC channel. I'm Rob and I hope you're having a wonderful day today. We're gonna jump into some Tales from Tech Support. Our first story today comes to us from Joe Don Fan. PoBuddy's nerfed? Let's jump right in. I worked for a large local computer company in the early 90s. I originally worked in their configuration department. Then, when I had orthopedic surgery, I was moved to the tech support phones while I recovered. Turns out I was pretty good at that, so I was put there full time. I took a lot of pride in my work, a lot of customers liked me, and I liked them. One day, at about 2:30 or 3 on a Friday afternoon, I was on the phones when I felt my team leader hovering over my shoulder. I was just wrapping up the call, so he waited for me to finish. And as soon as I hung up, he told me our boss needed me in his office. The look on my face must have been great because he told me I wasn't in trouble, but I needed to get there ASAP. When I arrived, I found our boss with his boss, a VP, and the phone was on speaker. They introduced me to the voice on the speakerphone. It was the regional VP for a big computer manufacturer. And Mr. Regional VP said to me, "Boss and VP tell me you're the best at dealing with difficult customers." It seems my bosses had gotten good feedback from the people I had been dealing with on the phones, so I was picked for this special job, which was, my company had just sold about 250 computers, monitors, and NICs to another company. Let's call them X. The regional VP of big computer manufacturer had just been called out of a meeting to endure the CIO of X yelling at him, saying the computers they had bought were crap, the NICs they bought were crap, nothing was working, everything was going to be sent back to my company, and everybody was going to be sued. Honest, this is not hyperbole. My company had sold these computers to X, but they didn't ask for anything to be done on them. No configuration, and not only that, they were installing the NICs and putting the CPUs on the desks themselves. They were moving offices, you see, and their moving gift to their employees was new computers for the new office. I think everybody except for the CIO of X could see 250 computers not working had to be due to something X had done, but customers, you know. Also, no pressure on me. I was authorized for any and all OT needed, and Regional VP gave me the personal phone numbers for about a dozen of their top tier tech support people who would be able to help me with any issue I might have. My bosses gave me their home phone numbers as well as the personal phone numbers for our best netwear guys. And my Friday night drinking plans were put on hold. Also, this site was in another state, about an hour drive on a good day and 2 or more hours during rush hour. But at least I was on the clock. I headed to the customer site. I arrived at just about the time I would normally be sipping my first beer at the bar, and I called the number I had been given for the CIO's right-hand man, Tim, who opened the door and greeted me. He was a guy who looked like he had just graduated from the local community college, which was exactly what he was, as I later found out. He explained the situation to me, and it was that none of the computers were connecting to the network. Not a one. The printers, however, were, as far as they could tell, as they could send stuff to them from the servers. The NICs all had a heartbeat, so I thought cabling and everything was okay. My concern was the server configuration itself, as I was not a netware guy. I was good on DOS, but if I had to go server side, at least I had a ton of phone numbers to call. Then I realized I didn't have a login prompt. Back in the DOS 5, Windows 3.1 days, there were two really useful, really important files that pretty much set up your computer to work. One of them was the config.sys, but that wasn't an issue. The other was autoexec.bat, and that was what I concentrated on. For those of you who don't know, autoexec.bat is a batch file, and all it does is run a batch of commands, one after the other, and the damn near universal first line in an autoexec was echo off. This line meant that you wouldn't see the commands being run in the autoexec.bat until you got to the last line, and that last line was a damn near universal login command, which we weren't seeing. So I read through the autoexec, then read it again, and I realized the autoexec.bat had a line that referred to a second batch file. The autoexec did just what it was told. It ran a few commands, then ran the second batch file, then everything stopped when the second batch file finished what it had to do. Tim was looking over my shoulder. "Tim," I asked, "who gave you this autoexec?" "The CIO," he answered. Yep, the person who had called up big computer manufacturer and pulled a Karen on them. I copied the autoexec.bat to autoexec.old, just a good practice, and edited the original, adding call space in front of the second batch file. Saved it, rebooted, and was rewarded with a login prompt. I moved over and asked Tim to log on. He logged on successfully, and I explained what had happened while he made sure he could access the network and its resources. On the second machine, I showed Tim the edit to make. It checked out. He tried it on a third, and after logging on, he leaned back in his chair and said, "We need to tell the CIO." We headed toward her office, and when we arrived, we saw she was in her office with someone else. Tim stopped short. "Can you wait out here? That's the president of our company." "No problem, bro. Just point me to a phone so I can give my boss a sit rep." While Tim talked to his bosses, I talked to mine, who just sighed and told me he'd call everyone else to let them know, and I should let him know when I was leaving. I stepped back into the hall and Tim waved me inside, where I gave the president and CIO the story. He was interested and asked some good questions, while the CIO looked mortified. His final question was, "Is this the only thing needed?" I answered that from what Tim tells me, this is it. Tim knows this network better than I, and if he thinks that's it, then I think that's it. The president looked a silent question at Tim, who just nodded, then asked me how long it would take to edit the remaining workstations. I thought for a minute, then realized I could make a boot diskette that we could use in the machines, pop it in, and let the disk do the work. "How long will this disk take to create?" he asked. Honest, the longest part was formatting the bootable diskette and making multiple copies. Back then, you could edit any new text file with the command copycon filename.extension on the fly. The autoexec.bat on the diskette would delete the bad autoexec from the workstation, then copy the working autoexec.new onto the diskette to the autoexec.bat on the workstation. Pop the diskette out, reboot, and watch your beautiful new login prompt on the workstations. Delete c:autoexec.bat, copy a:autoexec.new c:autoexec.bat. He nodded. "Okay, let's do this. Can you come back tomorrow?" I nodded. "Do you mind if I call your boss? Tim, get him some disks and we'll test them on a couple workstations. If it works, we'll come back tomorrow and finish up. It's been a long effing day." He called my boss while I made some diskettes. Tim tested them. I called my boss before leaving and told him the plan, and he told me I could spend all weekend there if I wanted to. I was on site the next morning at 9 a.m. as agreed. In the meantime, Tim, the president, and the CIO had already fixed about a fourth of the machines with my diskettes. They asked me to stick around to help out with some busy work, which really consisted of me and Tim chatting while breaking down the boxes for all of the stuff they bought. This is where I also learned the CIO had pretty much been working for 3 days straight on no sleep, so I can't really fault her for missing those 5 characters. Finally, the busy work was to give the pizza and beer time to arrive. In the end, I got nice thank you notes from the president and CIO of X, and the VP of Big Computer Manufacturer placed in my file. X signed a nice support contract with my company, Tim turned into a pretty good friend, and I was Employee of the Month for a $100 bonus. Okay, so that last line kinda threw me off. A $100 bonus doesn't seem like much, but it is a pretty good thank you, especially when OP got a whole bunch of overtime pay, and made a new friend along the way as well. That is probably the best bonus you could have. Do me a quick favor, have a look down below the video. If that subscribe button's still red, it means you're not actually subscribed to the KCC channel. Please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories. Our second story today comes to us from LaserX92. I created a unicorn. Let's jump right in. I have been working as a perma temp at a factory for about 4.5 years now. 4 of it driving a forklift loading finished products for the company onto trailers. I got good enough at running the computer on it that it runs a single application without breaking. It auto boots into this app, but it is essentially an AIO with a barcode scanner. Anyway, once a month, the primary system we use to track the products en route to the other warehouses and their location once they get there goes down, and we are supposed to shut down all production for these few hours. We don't do that at all and run a parallel system that is only partially connected to the main database. I was running with this backup system for about 9 months before finding a shortcut that made it possible to run both systems in separate sessions simultaneously while going in and coming out of this backup system. This shortcut wasn't documented anywhere and was actually 2 keys when the way that was documented was 10 keys. If you manage to not break the system from sticky keys being forced to run, this saves me a couple of hours in my 12-hour shift by running dual sessions instead of scanning into the trailer every time I switch. Once word started to spread that I found a glitch in the system, some of the full-time employees started to come to me with everything to do with these computers. I got good at the backup system to the point where they even demanded that I help another third-party company run this system. They normally run the logistics side of the company here, and they keep the whole place rolling forward on about 5 miracles a day. About 2 years into this highly specialized position with no extra pay, but the benefits of not having to deal with the worst parts of my normal job, I come across the one woman who is running on a normal backup night and somehow does something I have never seen. I am still able to fix it quickly, but it puzzles me for another month until she does it again. She managed to have a single pallet of product show as being present on both of her open trailers at the same time. It would be another 2 months before I would finally be able to test with the system and figure out how this was even possible. She scanned the pallet tag, realized it was for the wrong trailer, and backed out. This should have kicked the tag out and simply allowed for it to be scanned into the other trailer. It instead held it in limbo, likely in cache, until the next pallets were scanned and assigned a location. She is the only one I know of that could do this twice and still not remember how she did it, probably from all the pot she smokes. I had been working with this application enough to literally rewrite the manual for running it more efficiently and actually fixing most problems. The original material was horrible to start and way outdated to still be useful. I had never seen this happen and I was very confused. I also haven't seen it since, but I added notes on it to my instructions anyway. There's only one real thing to say here. OP, make a manual and get yourself a raise. Our next story today comes to us from Sleepmaster91. Next time, read the ticket updates. Let's jump right in. So I'm working at this company that is responsible for the IT support for many companies, and we took over the IT management and support of this one company that is making electronic equipment, motherboards, cards, etc., and they have very specialized software. I've never heard of 90% of the software that they use, and many tickets end up in me having to call the software support because I have no idea how to fix their issues, or they're poorly documented. So this user calls yesterday and opens a ticket because he's having issues dragging an Excel sheet onto a program to clean up the file. When he drags and drops the file and hits start to clean up the file, the program throws a whole bunch of .NET errors, and we have no idea who made this software. User says it's homemade. The help desk tries to fix the issue, but unfortunately he has no idea what's wrong and how to fix it, so he escalates the ticket and I'm the level 2 tech, the only one for now until they hire another one. So this issue falls on my queue with a note that this software must work before 3:30 the next day because they need this for their inventory to order stock in advance. Great, I love to get rushed. So I start working on the issue first thing the next day. I try to fix the problem by reinstalling .NET 3.5 and 4.8 from the Add Remove Windows features, repair his Office installation, and I don't know what I did, but now it throws a different error, but it seems to parse done of the file rather than throw the error right at the beginning, so I guess this is making progress. Then he shows me the software he uses to generate this file. To be honest, I'm not even sure. It's a software from Siemens called Valor something something, excuse my poor memory. So I already know that I'm going to have to make a lengthy phone call to some tech support because I have no idea how the software works. Long story short, after 1 hour on the phone, the tech from Siemens finds out that the template that the user was using to create the Excel file had an issue with commas and that it was seeing the wrong values on some of the cells. So we do another template and append new at the end, so I update the ticket with a screenshot of the new template to use so that the user knows which template is the right one. Mind you, at this point we're past 3:30. At around 4-ish, we get a phone call from his supervisor going apeshit because the issue is still not resolved. Oh, and did I mention that when I tried to contact their support, their offices were closed because they're on a different time zone than ours, and when I called, no one answered, and I had to go through the ticket system, which was crazy slow for them to answer, to get someone remotely connect to the user's computer. So my supervisor calls the user and tries to see if he can fix the issue. Then he shows me that it's not working, but then I realize that he's using the wrong template, the one that's not working. As soon as he uses the template that the Siemens tech generated, all of a sudden, everything works fine. The drag and drop to the mysterious software works fine without any issues. I tell my supervisor that I updated the ticket with a screenshot of the right template to use, and he says, "Oh, the user didn't read that comment. facepalm. So next time before losing your crap when an issue is not resolved, read the damn ticket updates. One person in the comments had an excellent set of steps that OP should follow. It says, a few options to ensure smooth running. Never solve issues that were not communicated through the defined process. Clear SLA with return times and priorities. Charge internally to their budget if the problem is not IT related. Charge for problems that were known but not communicated, sort of like a late fee. Charge double for on-site visits if not IT related. Monthly updates on the ticket queue of open tickets to your boss and the other team's boss, clearly showing the amount of tickets that are pending user feedback or clarification. Also clearly showing the solved cases and the time you invested to show that you probably solved 99% of the issues, but they only ever hear of the complicated stuff. Automated daily reminder for tickets that are pending user feedback after 7 days, and your boss needs to stick to this as well. If it doesn't hurt, they will never change. Thank you to all 3 OPs for posting their stories in the Tales from Tech Support subreddit. They are linked in the description down below. Please go check them out. Check out one of these other videos, and if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button for more daily Reddit stories.